If you were to have two arguments, I have listened to one pop song, and it's bad. Therefore, all pop songs are bad, and pop is a terrible producer. Breads are good for chimeras. Teto is a chimera. Therefore, Teto should eat bread. You can tell that one argument is clearly correct while the other is clearly wrong. But can you tell why? We will learn a little bit about logic to find out. Wait, did I say a little? First, logic is the study of correct reasoning. Logic studies arguments. You are probably picturing an argument as two people fighting over disagreement. But, in the context, let's just forget that definition and relearn what an argument is. An argument is a collection of premises, which are statements that support or infer a claim, called the conclusion. For example, in the first argument in the intro, then this part is the premises, and this part is the conclusion. Logic includes formal logic and informal logic. Formal logic is the study of arguments using formal symbolic notation based on the structure of the arguments alone, regardless of the content and topic of the argument. Informal logic studies everyday arguments using natural language because this is more useful and readable than whatever this is. Informal logic evaluates arguments based on relevance, sufficiency, and acceptability. Yeah, branches of logic are cool and all, but we should learn more about arguments before diving into them. Well, an argument is made of premises and conclusions, so we shall learn about them first. Premises supposedly support conclusions, and logic evaluates how well they support them. For example, synthesizers V are better than Vocaloids, and Teto is a synthesizer V. Support the conclusion Teto is better than Vocaloids, regardless of whether synthesizers V are actually better than Vocaloids or not. Premises and conclusions are statements. Because of this guy, let's call him Logic Guy even though most people call him Aristotle, and his laws of logic. Statements in most modern logic systems have these properties. Law of identity. It means something is itself and different from others. Duh! People are getting glazed for anything at this point. Next is the law of non-contradiction. A statement and its opposite cannot be true at the same time. Duh! Water found in the ocean. Law. Last is the law of excluded middle. A statement can only be true or false, not anything in the middle, which mean no non-binary, demi-false, or Boolean. A statement can be simple or complex. A complex statement is made of simpler statements connected by propositional connectives. Simple statements are not made of simpler statements, duh! But they do have internal structure following predicate logic rules. But that will get us out of this topic. Complex statements are factually true or false based on the simpler statements that it consists of, and the propositional connectives. Speaking about propositional connectives, I'll show you some. There are propositional connectives like not, or, and that work like you'd expected. There is also the if and only if propositional connectives that would make the entire statements true if both simpler statements are both true or both false. Pretty easy to understand. And there is also this menace. It can be merely equal to if, then, in natural language, but it's not the same because the complex statement is true if the first statement is true and the second is also true, or if the first statement is false, regardless, which is weird. Because of that, it can lead to funny as fuck consequences. Pop quiz, is this statement true or false? If Teto is a Vocaloid, then Teto is responsible for 9/11. And the answer is true. Because the statement Teto is a Vocaloid is false. The entire statement is true regardless of whether Teto is responsible for 9/11. Because of how logic works, there are some statements that are logical truths, which are statements that are always true regardless of what we know. There are two types of logical truths depend on why they are always true: tautologies and analytic truths. Tautologies are always true due to the structure of the statement and the laws of logic by the logic guy. For example, this statement is true due to laws of logic and you know it despite not knowing what the fuck is a glip-glop and a blob. Analytic truths are true due to how the words they use are defined. This statement is a logical truth because a chair is defined as a furniture with functionality is to be sit on. Hey, can we go back to the branches of logic thing? Sure, why? Well, you said informal logic evaluates relevance, sufficiency, and acceptability. Yeah, what the fuck do those words mean? Oh, about that. Well, relevance is about how relevant the premises are to the conclusion, because unrelated premises do not support conclusion. Sufficiency is whether the premises given are enough for the argument to be deductively valid, or for the ampliative argument to be strong. Acceptability is whether the premises are true, credible, and plausible. Fallacies are errors in arguments that make your argument weaker and incorrect. There are two types of fallacies: formal fallacies and informal fallacies. Formal fallacies are fallacies on the structure of the argument, while informal fallacies are errors in the content of the premises. Now I'll show you a list of common formal fallacies. Probability fallacy. Because something have the probability to happen doesn't mean it would. Your favorite Murphy law is incorrect because it used this fallacy. Fallacy. It's a fallacy because an argument being faulty only make it incorrect and does not make its conclusion false. Affirming the consequent. Because if Teto steals bread, then Teto has bread. And Teto has bread right now, doesn't mean that Teto stole bread because she could get bread from other sources. Now there are a lot of informal fallacies, so I will only show you 3 common informal fallacies. Ad hominem. It is a common fallacy where an arguer tries to attack the person to lower their credibility, rather than the argument themselves. If you remember earlier about the relevance thing, then this is it, because an attack on the person is not relevant to the argument. Next is hasty generalization. This is when the arguer tries to induce but lacks the sufficiency of the observed case to do so. Lastly is the false dilemma, when the argument gives only 2 choices and ignores other cases that are possible.